I said it is false productivity. And I will challenge anybody out there that tells me that there are people out there who will say multitasking, nobody can multitask. I'm like, you can't multitask because you haven't developed and trained yourself to have a skill level high enough in productivity to be able to multitask. It's okay to say no. And I said, and right now it's not no never, but it's no, not right now. I said maybe later at another time. Our natural thing is focus takes training. And I learned, through my 20s, my 30s, and now into my 40s, that you have to really understand what focus means on how to get one thing done. Sometimes a little selfish there to make sure that all the things that are attached to you are not part of somebody else's, master plan. You got to make sure that your master plan is underway or has been executed at the highest level, now and for the next day and for the next day, versus putting your stuff on the back burner. And that's what I found, the last few years. Like, I was still focused on my stuff, but I put it, second to a lot of other people's. I never even thought about this corner because I always see people doing stuff in that corner over there.
Yeah.
I said, but they don't. I guess they have the windows, but yeah, you're right. Every time it's a vacuum, every time that door opens, you get that added background noise.
There is an AI tool I found out. It's called la.ai.
Oh, they're making everything la.ai.
It takes your file and it just processes it out, and it gives you the sound file
Okay.
and the noise file, and it's been pretty good.
So it's able to separate the two.
Yeah. So you can save the noise also. If you want to break down like songs.
Yeah. So you're really just trying to unemploy all the sound engineers. Because I'm like, isn't that what they do? Like, all those parts of the board, they're like separating the channels and all that.
Yeah.
AI, boy, I'll tell you.
The post-production is like tough, but a lot of good things are coming. So we'll do this. This is just a reference point that syncs all three cameras.
Sure.
Which is,
okay. That's all you got to do?
Yeah.
That's cool. So it's already done? It just did it?
No. What it does is, so when I do that click like this,
yeah.
In the video, I know like, okay, this is that point. It gives that sound mark also.
Okay.
On the file. So when I'm, let's say, having, you have to stack 3 files on top of each other.
Okay.
So that it's all flowing in one.
Okay. Oh, so simultaneously.
Cuts, yeah.
Okay.
So you need one anchor point to ensure that.
So you can line it all up.
Because this started first, this started second.
Okay.
This started way later because we tested.
Did the testing? Okay.
Because the sound goes
to that one.
We are recording sound on all.
Okay. Just
for backup.
Good call.
So I have 3 sounds and 3 separate videos and 2.
That's cool. That's cool. I don't like to waste my brain energy on things I'm never going to use, but I love that, that it's so possible that somebody can do it. Because if I invest my brain time into that, then I go down that rabbit hole. Like, because I told you, I said I've got the, from COVID, I said I've got the green screen and the lighting systems, the pop lights, the everything.
Yeah.
And I said, matter of fact, I have an entire case of the sound panels that you put on the wall. Never put on because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, I don't have time for this. I said, Dylan. I blame Dylan because he was like, I challenge you to do this. And I said, I recorded a bunch of, I've got this, the sound studio set up. I said, but I recorded a bunch of just audio. I did audio. No, I was going to get into it. I said, but that takes time too.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can do it at night. And after last year, I said, I'm going to prioritize trying to get more sleep. Versus spending, you know me from the last few years, I would prioritize, like, if there's open space and open time, I'm going to fill it with something. I like to be not just busy, but I like to see action. I like to see things get done. So let's go to it. You get the idea, you got this, let's go to it. I've got time, let's go work on it. Let's go make it happen. And, those were some of the things that said somebody else I ran into here. He goes, oh, is Ayrton. Ayrton was introducing me to a friend a couple weeks ago. And he goes, so how many projects are you working on now? You 9 or 10? I'm like, not anymore. I said, me and Dane actually just talked about this. I said 6. 6 is my max. I said, I'm only at 4 right now, and I'm working on whittling that down to 3. I said, 6 is the max. I said, because I want to have, I won't ever say total focus on any one thing. I said, because I move too fast. I said, so I can simultaneously focus on 3 things extremely well. I said, but when I get to 4, 5, 6, I said, I don't want to be the main. I don't want it to be my primary. So if I can help someone out, with 3, 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
that's great. If I can make connections and bridge relationships, that's great. Versus doing the, well, let me go and take on and do a bunch of that stuff. I had to, I've let go of all of my client base in Croatia. I've let go of the client base in Montenegro. I said I don't do anything with the team in Spain.
Yeah.
I said because different time zones. Then I'm really not getting any sleep because I'm working on their time zone because they're a lot less flexible on meeting on our time zone. They
Okay.
work in that part of the country or the world. They work on their time zone. So I'm like, that does not help my sleep schedule.
Geo arbitrage, right?
Yes, yes. And sometimes it works. When it was COVID, it worked extremely well because
Yeah.
we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. But now it's like you layer on personal life, kids' life. It's summer. There's no school.
Yeah.
You get all these other things. So you don't want to fill your time. And I don't want to fill all the hours of the day with just stuff to be able to say and write in the journal, I executed this today, I got this done, and checking off, these big things that at the end of the day, what value do they hold for me? I said, you got to be a little more intentional and sometimes a little selfish there to make sure that all the things that are attached to you are not part of somebody else's, master plan. You got to make sure that your master plan is underway or has been executed at the highest level, now and for the next day and for the next day versus putting your stuff on the back burner. And that's what I found, the last few years is like I was still focused on my stuff, but I put it, second to a lot of other people's. And I said, sometimes, that's good because some of the ideas and some things I really, really love, but then some of them like talking to things I learned from Ivan. I said, with the gene keys and the human design.
Yeah.
I said, for mine, when I learned about all that stuff here now 2 years ago, I said, I'm very black and white. I said, there's not many gray areas. So like deep in my gut, things for me become, if it's a good idea, it sounds good, sounds great. It's either I love it or I don't.
Yeah.
I said, there's no like, oh, well, maybe let's try it. Let's see how it turns out. And so I've leaned into that of like, when people bring this stuff to me, if it's like not an absolute, then it's a no. I'm taking some diamonds. I'm like, it's okay to say no. And I said, and right now it's not no never, but it's no, not right now. I said maybe later at another time.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Quick break in the pod to talk about our presenting sponsors, choosemketech.org. If you're looking to grow your tech career in Milwaukee, choosemketech.org connects you to local jobs, events, community groups, all powered by the Milwaukee Tech Hub Coalition. Find your place in Milwaukee's growing tech scene at choosemketech.org. There's a lot of importance in saying no also, because we end up saying yes to a lot of things that do not really accumulate value
That's right.
in your own book.
That's right. Well, and it's one of those things where time we can't get any more of. And so if you give away
Yeah.
all your time, I said, because what do we work for? I said, we're not really working for wealth.
Yeah.
We're not really working for things. We're working in the people that become wealthy and the people that, amass the riches, they're working to gain more time. They give away a lot of time and efforts to get to those things, whether you're an investment banker or a tech billionaire or a startup founder that hits something off and has this huge exit.
Yeah.
But when you have that exit, it's not about those things. It's because it affords you more time.
Exactly. I read this concept of, I think, cash rich, time rich, cash poor, time poor.
Mm-hmm.
And you put it on a quadrant and you'll see like where you kind of
That's right.
land. Ideally, you would like to be time rich and cash rich.
Ideally.
Ideally. But then what is the balance that you see? In that regard, I wanted to ask you this always is like, how do you manage and prioritize? Like, you have 6 or 7 things going on,
Mm-hmm.
right, in different things.
Yep.
So how do you kind of prioritize running side business, having a full-time job,
Yep.
doing community service?
Mm-hmm.
Can we list all the things that you do?
I probably shouldn't. I probably should not put this out on the record. All the things, but the prioritization really comes into the planning.
Yeah.
I said a lot of people think, and I talk to people. They're like, oh, a lot of people just think like, oh, it just you just did this with it. It's like it takes a lot of planning. I said, if you've seen my mini bags that I'm carrying most times or multiple computers, I said I manage right now 6 different calendars that
Yeah.
all sync to my phone. My phone some days are a mess. This week was one of those. Monday and Tuesday, I said I had stuff from 6 a.m. until 11:45 p.m. and then you add in my 9.5 hour workday in the middle of that, and I still got stuff beyond that. So 5 o'clock, got to be here. 6 o'clock, got to be there.
Yeah.
It really comes down to a having a support system that says, that they're okay with it, that they can back you up.
Yeah.
I said, because it's not just me. I said, I've got 3 kids, got a wife. I said, we got 2 cats.
Yeah.
I said, there's things that have to go on.
Yeah.
Dinner still has to get made. Groceries, I like to say laundry has to get done. I don't do any of the laundry. So that's not on me. But you have to be able to find and prioritize and make the plan so that you know exactly how these things are going to get done. So I spend, my evenings the day before, sometimes 2 or 3 days before, looking at the next 10 days. These are the priorities of these next 10 days. If it's not a priority, those that go on the B list. I am not a person, I don't make task lists. And I know that works for some people.
Yeah.
I said, but task lists typically don't get shorter because you typically add more tasks to your day. I said, so having those clear priorities, these are the 4 or 5 things I need to get done on this day. And if those include, hey, there's a meeting with this client, hey, I have to go on this trip, hey, I have to get these things done, hey, I have this, board meeting or whatever it is, those are the priorities. And for me, then you really have to align your priorities with those that are in the rest of your support system. So my kids have priorities. So where do those line up? And I have to fill those in. And if those shouldn't be filling, so you have to make those part of your priorities. So whereas, a lot of people say, what are my 3 most important things of the day? For me, it becomes, what are my 6 or 8 most important things? Because I know it's summertime. This, on the way here, my kids this week are at summer camp downtown. So there, pick them up in the afternoon. In between, I have this. Prioritize. I told you, I said, Medi is very important to me. Got to get my hair cut in so I get cut and shave going on and look like.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to Medi. I said, that's my guy.
Oh, sorry.
Said you get those pieces out there. I said, but then you make sure that you're capitalizing on all those things. And then when you have space, and then there's lots of tech tools, and I know people have, lots of people brought things to be like, oh, you should use this. You should use this type of board, or you should use this app, or you should use this new
Productivity
hack. Those hacks are great if you haven't trained yourself on how to be productive. Because productivity hacks don't work if you're not a productive person. I said it is false productivity. And I will challenge anybody out there that tells me that there are people out there who will say multitasking, nobody can multitask. I'm like, you can't multitask because you haven't developed and trained yourself to have a skill level high enough in productivity to be able to multitask.
Can you break that down?
Yeah. I said, so, you hear people say like, I can't focus on 2 things or, doing 3 things at once. It's like our natural thing is focus takes training. And I learned, through my 20s and my 30s and now into my 40s that you have to really understand what focus means on how to get one thing done. If you don't know how to get one thing done, you will never have the ability to be able to simultaneously do 2 or 3. Now, once you have learned, there's actually a book called Just One Thing. There's a book called Focus, and I don't know the author off the top of my head, but I can see the book sitting on my desk. When you learn and you know how to focus and execute, I can focus so hard and complete the task necessary to do this one thing. And once I've created action and I've executed upon that action to get to completion, that allows me the ability to take and layer on other things.
Yeah.
So I can say, yes, I can monitor 3 email boxes in a single time. I can monitor 2 phone lines all day long and every day, on top of balancing 3 different schedules for 3 different organizations, whether they're nonprofits, my day job, and look at these things to be able to say, this is how you do it successfully. Is it easy? No. But I've now had 14 years to develop that, and it took me all of the first 10 to know that it was even possible, because you'll run over yourself. And I said, I've used every productivity hack that's out there to try to simplify these things, but you can't simplify what you don't know how to do. I said, and so I see a lot of, apps and tools that people will jump to that they are great on their own independently if you have already mastered the art of productivity. If you haven't figured that part out, the hack isn't going to help you. It's like saying, I got this really good way to learn how to cook healthy food, but I don't know how to use a stove or a microwave. Well, that doesn't help you out. And I don't know how to grocery shop.
Yeah.
Master that skill of, I can productively go grocery shopping and get the proper things that I need to plan out that meal. And now I've got this hack it's a quick recipe on, whether it's using an Instapot or a crock pot or, microwave or a hot plate. That's my hack to do these things so I'm not chopping and doing these things. Just like a food processor is a hack for not having to learn how to use the knife skills.
Yeah.
I said, but if you know how to use those knife skills, that food processor, that hack, it's great. You can now layer that on top. Hey, I could be doing this and let the food processor do something else. I'm going to make a some fancy Italian dish where it's got a sauce and a dough, and I'm going to make this thing. Stromboli, say that. Well, instead of having to do it all manually, my hack using that productivity tool to shrink the time and the effort and the energy that's used, I can be over here chopping, dicing, and cutting because I have the knife skills because I've mastered and focused on learning how to do that while the food processor is making the dough. So, so I don't have to learn how to knead and do the dough and all that other stuff.
And the fact that you want to do all of this.
That's right.
Nobody can buy and teach you that.
That's right.
I have so many questions. The first one being, you said that action is important. What drives that action for you, like to take that action? So a lot of our viewers are also like students.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're struggling to take that step to complete that assignment, or they're just going to start in their career. So what would you say?
What drives that action? I think there's two main pieces: purpose and intent. I said, if you're doing a thing just to do a thing, you don't have a purpose or a why behind it, why do it? If you're going to take a class, or you take a course, say, hey, I want to do this just to get this thing, because I want to add this badge to my LinkedIn, or I want to do this. Why? Ask yourself why first. And then once you know that why, what are your intentions, and how intentionally you're going to move toward that to actually use that thing that you've said that is going to be beneficial to you. I said, so doing work for the sake of doing work, or saying, I learned to do this thing just to keep up with somebody else, that doesn't give you purpose, and there's not a purpose behind that. And then the intent behind it is probably for a reason that doesn't add value. And for me, if it doesn't add value, whether it's extrinsically, intrinsically, or it could be, I do a lot of things that are not necessarily for me, but they're for my circle. So me, I said, I'll meet people anywhere they are. I love going out to be at a cafe like this, or be downtown at the Mac, wherever it is. I said, I'm always thinking forward of, when I learn something, I meet something, or I meet somebody, and what's the purpose of that meeting, and what's the intent that I'm going to seek in that. My intent is always to listen and to learn. And then from that, what can I do with that? How can I add value? And that value becomes, does it add value for me, or have I compartmentalized something that's for somebody else? I met somebody that could be the perfect addition to Naveen's circle, and I'm going to hold on to that, because I'm not going to bog Naveen down and jump to him and be that constant open door. But I'll wait and hold it, so that when I learn these things, I have the conversation with Naveen, like, that might be the time, because that intent will drive the timing, and that timing drives action. So a lot of people jump to, oh, Naveen, I need you to meet this person right now and do this thing. That might not be the right time for you. Good example of that on there, I said, and it's going to be a shout out to somebody that we both value and appreciate, even though I only met her for a brief time, but she created a lasting mark, Posny. Babalai. Still one of the,
she's going to be on the
hey, I'm
show.
telling you, still one of the sharpest, most competent and intellectual people I've ever met, aside from yourself. But Posny is one of those ones where the timing, and all the things that she's doing, and she's doing amazing things in her world, in her circle, in her space. I said, timing becomes those things. So to put something on her that doesn't fit her intent and purpose, I said, is a false action. She could do it. We know she can. We know she's beyond capable.
Yes.
But is it proper timing? Does it fulfill her purpose? And is there an intent that adds value for her? And if it's not, same thing goes for me. If it doesn't have a purpose, and it's not going to add intent. A key example that people say, well, why are you on the school board? I have 3 kids in the school system. I care deeply about not only my kids, but all the kids that they're going to surround themselves with. I said, because just like I learned at a young age, I said, people will never worry about you if you keep a solid circle. Keep good company. My grandparents used to say all the time, if you keep good company, I'll never worry about you. And it's one of those ones where I've always held on to that. So to understand the dynamics of what's happening in the school world, I'm not an educator, I'm not in that space, but I dive into that wholeheartedly to have an understanding of what they're going through, to be able to anticipate things that they haven't learned yet that may be challenges for them in the future. So when we can get beyond that and say, okay, I understand these things from a social, emotional learning level, I understand these things from an academic level, I understand these things from a child development level that's at 3, 6, or 9 years old, where they are currently. And so I want to say, okay, I will create action for things that will hopefully make and add value to their careers in school, their careers on the school playground or on the campus, whatever that might be, that add value to our house, because it also gives them tools and things inadvertently. Just these are byproducts, because I'm invested in them and invested in their surroundings.
And invested in their success and well-being.
That's right.
And which compounds also.
That's right.
Wow. So there are so many things that we touched on. which I'd love to just dive one at a time with.
Sure.
So first, you ahead also just to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
You had mentioned about a lot about meetings
Hmm.
and emails.
Yes.
So can we bust a few like productivity myths? One is one productivity hack that a lot of productivity gurus give is don't look at your emails
Mm.
and only have morning and evening emails.
A lot happens between morning and evening. I'm a person where I firmly believe in response. We talk about experience. Responses matter.
Yeah,
Now there are things that, again, back to priority.
yeah,
There are emails I know that are come in, but I can scroll and go through 6 email boxes in about 6.5 minutes. And I set my email up so it has the not just the subject, the title, like what's in the subject line,
yeah,
but it gives me that kind of snippet that the first couple of things that are happening in there.
yeah,
And there's a lot of new technology that's going to come out with the iPhones that's going to make that even easier because we're
yeah.
going to grow. But when it comes to those email box, don't get bogged down with like I got to go and read every single one of them.
Right.
Like have an understanding and look for what's important. Junk and spam exist, and that's really I'm going to tell most people, unless you're a doctor or surgeon that's getting all these clinical things, all this stuff. Even my technology friends, they're not having all these emails. Even the startups, you get a lot of junk emails.
Yeah,
I said we've been in that space and said that stuff shouldn't take your time.
yeah,
So those things you can leave to morning and evenings, but create cadences. And I used to use several different methods. So I said, but when you look at the day, I said you got an 8 hour workday or 9 hour workday, right?
yeah,
Break down each of your hours. Create productivity hour by hour. So from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, people say, I got to be doing this one thing. It's like, but are you going to be productive? Can you tell me that you have mastered productivity to a level that you're going to be productive for 60 straight minutes on that thing, no matter
yeah,
what it is? So if you tell me yes, great, awesome. Let's scale that back from 60 to 40
yeah,
and then build in, 5 to 7 minutes for email inside that 60 and do that each hour. So if you've got 5 to 7 minutes each hour,
yeah.
that leaves a lot of the stress that you have early morning. Because I know a lot of people that say, I get up early and I get into my email box. I'm like, but then you're fighting yesterday's battles from
Right,
all the stuff that came in overnight and from different time zones. And then wait till the evening. Now I've got to fight the battles from what's left over that I didn't get to on top of today's.
right.
And you never get out of the rat race. And so one of the things that I like about that model of look at your day hour by hour and say, okay, let me look at time blocks and say, okay, I'm going to be laser focused for these 40 straight minutes on, if you're in sales or business development or marketing, hey, I'm working on my pipeline, I'm in my CRM, I'm making phone calls, I'm doing this. Now, phone call, if you're like me, I don't have many short phone calls. I said, so what I think is going to be a 15-minute call, I'm going to block and say that's going to be a 45-minute call.
Yeah,
I said, because again, I don't try to intentionally rush into the phone because I really want to listen and be thorough in hearing and have a full understanding of what's going on. Why are we talking in the first place? And that could be 15 minutes. That could be 5 minutes. I have plenty of colleagues in the Northeast that I can get off the phone in 3 minutes because they're like, Phil, I called you. I need this. Can you get me this? I'm going to send you this document. I need a calendar invite. Is that cool? Okay, sounds good. So as soon as you send it back to me, we're done. Excellent. Those are short calls. But here in the Midwest, people are Midwest nice.
yeah,
People want to catch up. Same thing if when you talk to people down south or even my colleagues, my work team for my day job that are down in Texas, we'll talk and we could talk 10 different times,
mm,
20 minutes at a time, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on Microsoft Teams. And I said it's a mix of catch up, it's a mix of work, it's a mix of I say social and emotional. Uh, there's nothing in the workplace where people really talk about, since most people are remote or working outside of the office. I said, you don't have that water cooler anymore. You don't have that break room. I said, so we've adapted to the digital nature and the remote and hybrid nature of
mm,
where do you do that? You have to build that in.
yeah,
I said, so that's part of your productivity in the day. Checking in with your coworkers, checking in, with your clients, checking with these things that are not necessarily directly linked to, trying to get something.
yeah.
You can call a client, you can call a coworker. I call and talk to competitors on a weekly basis, probably 4 or 5 of them. I said,
Your competitors to your business?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. People, because I tell people, said in my business, and it's been my philosophy always. I don't have competitors. There are competitors in the industry. We compete for clients' things. I said, but the individuals inside those companies,
Yeah.
I have no competition.
Okay.
I said there are people that I look up to that my current boss right now was one of my competitors. We worked together because we saw each other in industry for
Mm,
over a decade,
yeah.
and she called me and said, "Hey, I'm doing this thing. And there's an opportunity here for us to do something really cool together. Always wanted to work with you." You never know what the future can hold. So somebody that you might think is a competitor, and a lot of young people go around and say, "Oh, that person, we're competing for the same thing." Who cares? 3 years from now, you don't know if you'll be working with them, for them, underneath them, or you might be on the opposite side where they're trying to, so you might
Work
be
for
their
you.
customer.
Yeah. Or
There's
yeah.
lots of different scenarios.
Mm.
So in that space, so when you're time blocking, you just prioritize those minutes. Look at those things in that way. Because then by the end of the day, if you've
Yeah.
done that for 8 straight hours, now you've created consistency. Now you're starting to master how to do one thing. That time block really matters.
Hey everyone, if you are someone who's juggling 1,000 ideas in your head and hundreds of to do lists, I want you to check out Requsore. We have built Requsore to turn messy ideas into structured plans with milestones and tasks, and also having AI agents that help you execute on them. So check out Requsore. So you can do multiple things in those time blocks,
Yep,
but it's still adhering to one thing at a time
that's
in a
right.
way.
That's
So,
right.
wow. Now, if I connect back to what you were saying about you wanting to be with your kids and
Yeah,
caring deeply about who they surround themselves with, is it for you the productivity or the efficiency that you do, is it connected so that you can spend more time with your family?
100%.
Okay.
Everything that I do, I said is I will never say a means to an end because until the day that I'm not here, that when I take my last breath, that's the end. There are no ends in sight. I said I always laugh at people like, oh, they moved the retirement age. I'm like, I don't know that I'm ever going to retire. I will retire from having to work for somebody else, like as a primary means.
Yeah.
I said, but I'll always be working on a board, volunteering, starting other businesses, getting things going to help develop those things. Because I think when you live outside of yourself, and
Yeah.
part of my intent and something I learned is that I'm a person that cares deeply about not only the process, but about the people. The people, if you get that part right, everything else falls into place. You can develop process, you can bring up and you can develop strategy, you can develop, creativity and design, but you can't go forward with any of that if you don't have the people. And look at any company out there in the industry.
Yeah.
Lots of companies, we talk about layoffs, lots of companies have people. Do those people care about who they work with? And I said, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee, and he talks about them. Said, I can't, if I'm the company and I own the company, I can't expect the people that work for me to care about the company the way that I do. What I can expect is that I treat them in a way and give them an experience that makes them want to care in the direction that I am. So we're all in alignment. So when you make it about the experience for the person, your experience when you get a job shouldn't be like, I have a task. I'm fulfilling the job description that they put on this paper. That is secondary. Third, that is so far down the line. When you hire somebody, it should be about I am hiring for a skill set that is developed for the future, that is not for today. I'm not hiring for today. I'm not ever going to look for a team to build a team for today. It's
Yeah.
always a team for tomorrow. People that have a willingness, whether they have the skill right now, but have a willingness and the ambition to drive to tomorrow, into next year, into 10 years from now, to be thinking big always, because then I can harness that. And then in that process, the experience that you gain with people, that trust, authenticity, loyalty, all that comes together when they know that you care. When you truly care about a person and you're deeply invested into the individual, the team, the organization, all those come together because when people feel valued and people know that you're being trustworthy and honest and you're being your most authentic self, but more importantly, you're allowing them to be their most authentic self, that's when they'll give you 200%, hands down, every day. And companies, startups, legacy existing organizations miss the mark because, and unfortunately, it's not even can't say American, it's the global business model.
Yeah.
Everything, just like as a consumer, everything's expendable, right? We've got a very short term nature. Hey, it's all right. I went to IKEA. It broke. I'll go buy another one. Hey, that's all right. That software guy, we get another one.
Disposable.
Disposable, very disposable nature. And the moment you allow that to affect and be a part of your business model, that's when things change. That's when people become, so they start to think of their employer or their organization as disposable. It's all right. I'll get another job. It's all right. I'm already looking. That's all right. I'm already over here thinking about this, that, or the other. You've lost their focus. You lose their focus, you lose their productivity. You
Yeah.
lose that productivity, you lose action. It's all intertwined. It's that collaborative nature of that dynamic all sits in one giant bubble, but people get so fixated on this one thing: productivity, revenue, EBITDA, top line, bottom line, all these wonderful things that we love to talk about in the senior leadership and the C-suite, which are very important. But from the top down, it has to be a top-down approach to make it people-centric all the way to the bottom. So the person at the top cares equally about revenue and growth and strategy and all these things as they do about how's that person doing to be able to perform so we can gain that revenue. So we can afford that growth. Because that growth doesn't come by pulling a lever and flipping a switch and saying, we're just going to get some more growth next week. We're going to get it for people that are going to go to the end of the earth to give you that productivity, to go and say, I'm going to travel 132,000 miles this year by plane, cross country, over and over again. I'm going to go out there when you ask for I'm going to give you gave me a goal of, 10 million. I'm going to go and give you 20 million.
Okay.
Not because you want it, but because you gave and found value in me of being here to do a thing. You've created an experience in a atmosphere that I feel valued and heard and seen. I will give you the same. You never have to worry about those people leaving. I said, we're not in the days of when it was, people stayed at a company for 20 and 30 years. I'm going to retire and get my pension. Those are long gone. You've got good talent, and you have to know and understand the future of work, Gen Z, here in just a few years, the Gen Alphas, essentially where my kids will be in the next decade. I said that workforce, it's not that they're transient, but they are going to be so skilled and they're going to grow up in a space where my kids already have they see what my productivity looks like. We talk about it every morning. They're like, they know how many meetings I've needed. They see what my day looks like. They have been involved and see how exposed to that.
Yeah.
That exposure in that environment doesn't just sit there. It rubs off on them. Now, I don't want them ever to become workaholics. I said, and I try not to be myself, but they see what it takes to have the things that you want. And the things that I want are more time, to have more time with them. But be able to spend and go and do as I please.
Yeah.
And the people that say, oh, well, that's not for everybody. It's like, it doesn't have to be for everybody. I said, but anybody from the janitor to the rocket scientist are all looking for more time. And having a space to build productivity is what gives you that time.
Wow.
Lots of process.
Yeah. And is this something that you were always like born with? I would not say born with, but is this something that came naturally to you, or is it natural and you worked on it, or it's just plainly that you worked on this?
No, definitely was not born with it. I was always born with ambition and the drive. I said I read some books that you probably shouldn't say for adults. A lot of Dale Carnegie, a lot of things as a young kid. The 13 Laws of Power. Read a lot of stuff
As a kid?
as a kid.
Like,
I said,
how old were you?
10, 11, 12.
Oh, wow.
I said a lot of these things. How to what is the one?
How to Win
How to Win
Friends?
Friends and Influence People.
Yeah.
So I was reading those things.
Dale Carnegie, right?
Yeah, at a very young age, and in my day job and personal life, networking world, there was a book written a long time ago called Schmooze. It was the art of schmoozing.
Schmooze.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said it, but it was all about connecting and interacting with people on a social level,
Yeah.
but how that translates into the business world. So we always think about, oh, business gets done on the golf course, business gets done at the happy hours, business gets done at the social clubs, and all these things. Well, the reason those things happen there is because you're able to be authentic.
Yeah.
And you're able to get to a person
Relaxed.
when they're not in a relaxed atmosphere where they can be themselves.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna, and that's what people said. I've been in sales for majority of my life across many industries, and I said I don't choose sales. I don't sell anything. I've always been good at it. I said because I never approach anything as a sale. And so the moment people think, and I have a lot of sales friends and people that are sales leaders in big organizations that say, "Oh, no, 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 no." I said, well, your process is your process.
Yeah.
We've accomplished the same things, just in different ways. There's always more ways to define and how, on the how. I don't ever worry about the how. I said, worry about the why. And from a young age, I said, I gained a lot of stuff of, there's a TED talk on the nature of multi-hyphenate people. People that have multi-hyphenates. So an individual that has equal fervor and ambition and zest for multiple things. They don't live their life to be in one zone. And I said, when I heard that, and I saw that one years ago, but I said, it didn't really make sense to me until I was probably closer to 30. And I said, but one of the things I said, I told you, I said, I've been in insurance at the industry for 16 years now. I said, I've been from the front line to the C-suite. I said, before that, I was in commercial real estate and development. That's where I thought I was going to be. And then the stock market happened and the real estate market crashed.
This is 2008.
That's 2008.
Okay.
2008 changed my direction there.
I changed a lot of things.
I was in the entertainment world, way back when, early in
Really?
college. Yeah, I said, there's
I didn't know this.
yeah,
Entertainment.
no, I said, how far do you need to go back on LinkedIn? I said,
Oh.
if I put all those things, I said, I'd have probably about 9 different industries. I said, I've seen it, but I've been working since I was 15.
Okay,
And I
yeah.
said, and I tell people all
That
the time, I
makes
said,
sense.
again, that nature of, being able to balance and be able to do things. I said, most kids have, one job when they're 15 or 16. I said, I had one job when I was 15. I had 2 jobs when I was 16. When I was 17 to 20, I had 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Not because I needed money. I wasn't poor by any stretch. I wanted to gain skills. I wanted to learn multiple ways. I said at one point I worked at the Gap. I worked at I don't know if you know the store Icing Afterthoughts, the place where the kids get their ears pierced.
Okay.
I said, in my younger years, my teen years, that was a great place to meet girls. I said because girls buy earrings. I said so. I was like, I'm developing all these different skill sets, right?
It's still
And
sales,
the
right?
socials, that's still sales, but that was also ways to interact with
Yeah.
other people that you're not necessarily going to see.
Right.
And then I worked at Universal Studios in the theme parks. I said, that was my first. Yeah, I
Where
said,
in
real job.
Orlando?
Yeah.
Oh.
I said, so all the stuff you see, the old park, a lot of stuff that's not there. I said, I worked at Jaws. I said, I worked at Islands of Adventure. I was in that group with that before when that was open. I said, we used to be there sanding tables and dusting, rolling silverware, sweeping floors to get it ready for the park to be open. So
Yeah.
we were test dummies also. I said, I was an unpaid roller coaster tester while the engineers are doing their thing. So they'd say, hey, employees, would you like to
They
ride
could
this?
do that?
I still don't know to this day if that was legal or that, but hey, they said, do you want to get in here and ride these? Sure, get in the front. And it's like, how many people come? Like, just 3 of you. And I'm like,
That's
it'll be 3 of us on a 40-person ride. But I
Oh
said,
wow.
I gained experiences, and I also got to meet people that I wouldn't have necessarily met.
Yeah.
I made friends from other high schools, other colleges, other parts of the city that I lived in.
Yeah.
And I said, and that was all from a space to get to be able to understand people.
Expansion of your network.
Expansion of the network. And I said,
Okay.
and a lot of people think like, my wife will say like, yeah, this huge network. I said, the overarching net of the network is large.
Yeah.
I said, but I keep it very tight. I said, my golden inner circle is fairly small. I said, and the people that are in it, they know who they are. Do I have layers and rings outside? I said, I have acquaintances outside that, but then I have further rings out that I can go back home to Florida and run into friends I haven't talked to in 10 or 12 years. That's just fine.
Yeah.
One of my lifelong best friends, Mike, Mike's doing great work. He's working at Deloitte right now. He said he's crushing it. Mike is my longest lifelong friend. Are we as close as we were back then? Because we know we've moved to several places. He started a family. I moved him out of Florida. We both moved to Tennessee.
Right.
He met his wife. He moved back. We had all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
But we've come together. We can pick it up as if nothing ever stopped.
Exactly. Ivan says this beautifully. He says that your paths will cross in a given time,
That's
but
right.
that doesn't mean that you stop loving each other.
That's
Those
right.
paths might intersect again.
That's right. The friendships networks are not linear.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, I cut this off. It's like, yeah, but it's infinite.
Right.
And so where they cross again, you don't know. I said it's an infinite, maze and web of these things that are just it's like pie. It just keeps going. That number just keeps going. I don't know where the end is.
Yeah.
Until you're not here. That's what it is. But even when you're not here, the relationship, the thoughts, the memories, all the things you have still exist inside because it added value to somebody. And so in that space there, I said, going back to that original thought, I started to focus in on it. I said, when I moved here, I'd been to several states, but when I finally moved here with my best friend and one of my business partners, uh, we were flipping houses. And I said, he has done, I've learned a tremendous amount of most of the things I've become great at.
Yeah.
I got from him all the way back to 5th and 6th grade. There are things that, I'm the talkative one, he's the more quiet one. I said, but he's got an intellect higher than just about anybody I know. And so there's a lot of pieces, that book, Just the One Thing, he sent me that book. I said he sent me other books on there on certain things like, hey, just need you to know this right now. And in some of those things in those times, because we were younger, we were late 20s, early 30s. And some of those things like, man, what's he know? Hindsight's always 20/20. Wisdom is wisdom.
Yeah.
How well you can accept wisdom in certain parts of your life, sometimes you're not ready for it. We see many friends that you and I have had in common these last few years. Some of the people are absolutely great. but the timing of what they're trying to do and trying to accomplish sometimes is not on par with what their wants are.
Yeah, doesn't
And
align.
and it does, the alignment's not there. When people recognize, realize that, the gift and the goal that you have is to always be moving forward. Don't put time constraints on it. Oh, I got to do this. I never forget. I told myself, it's like, if you put limits and constraints on the things that you want,
Right.
you'll live within those limits,
Yeah.
and you won't realize how easy it is to obtain things. So people will say things like, "Oh, I just want to make 100,000 a year. I'm trying to get a job that makes sense." Like, if you are looking for that, you will get to that. I don't know if it's going to be now or then, but you're going to be working toward that.
Yeah.
Because you put you put a limit on there. You
Yeah.
put a governor. So if you want 100,000, like, you should be thinking, I need to find it. I need to find a way to make 200,000. One of the things that one of my old bosses asked me years ago, while I was in the insurance industry, in one of my previous companies, she goes, "How much do you want to make?" And I was like,
Like make money
"Yeah,
wise.
yeah."
Yeah.
And I never thought about that. I'm like, and like, 150 sounds great. She's like, "Okay, I'll keep that in mind. That's all. You don't want anything else, like just money?" I'm like, "No, that'd be great. That sounds great." When I put that out there, it took me 18 months to get to there. And I was making, at that time, I made like half of that for like the last 5 or 6 years. And she comes back to me the following year. "Did you hit your goal?" It's like, "Yeah, sure." And I remember we had that conversation. She's like, it almost was too easy to get to that number. She's like, "You had your mind set on that. Now what I want you to do instead is said, create a dimension of your goal. So if you're going to tell me your next goal is 200, don't put 200 limit. Put that number at 500, but give me and create all the other things you want, the time, the vacations, the ability to go do this, that, the other, experiences,
Holistic.
holistic, layer it all in there, but
Yeah.
write it down, put it there, you can see it." So one of the things that I found, a company on Pinterest, when Pinterest would come out, that I had this board built. So like people's dream boards.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's called I think it's called the Big Vision, and it's
Vision board. Yeah.
yeah, you just basically send them, or upload 24 pictures of things that you want, like very specific, not just a picture of a car, like the car. Like mine at that time was, well, I won't forget, I said it was a black GMC Denali,
Which you have.
which is out there, which
You
is
just drove in it,
that's my
right?
second one. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
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 And I said my current one on this, it said the all
Kick-ass
electric.
car, by the way.
Hey, you know what? Once you have it, once you see that how possible it is to obtain,
Yeah.
then you think bigger. I don't. My kids, my 6-year-old, my 9-year-old, are like, "You need a Cybertruck." I think it's the ugliest thing on earth, but they think it's the coolest. Man, that thing, I've seen probably 5 or 6.
Okay.
I think it's the most hideous thing
I
ever.
respectfully disagree.
Hey, we got to be able to agree to disagree. I'm like, a hunk of sheet metal with a bunch of glass and a bunch of corners that doesn't turn well. I'm like, I don't. I like, you know,
It's minimalist
it
design.
is minimalist, but you know what? I could be minimalist and my white Ferrari. I said, because I'll be the minimal person driving. There won't be another one on the road. I said, the feel of luxury, and I said, I could care less about that. I said, but when you get to those points and you're buying those things, I said, they're just things.
Yeah.
I said, does it do all the things you want? Like, I've driven several Teslas. I'm like, I like them. I've got a couple friends that have. My best friend has a Tesla, whichever, the plaid one. It's his second one. It's like super fast. Another friend out in Colorado, Dan, has the same thing. He picked me up from the airport once. I was like, this is very nice. I won't ever need this because I don't have any need to go this fast anywhere ever. And you go so fast and you don't feel it. And I'm like, this can't be safe. So I'm just gonna leave that there.
Yeah, but you were saying about like dream board and envisioning it. Yeah, so you
creating
did
that vision. I said, but then learning from other people the process. I said, so getting to that space of how did you get to here where you could be able to do these things? I said, it took a lot of practice, take a lot of failure. And I tell people, so I was never in my early years said, you never want to fail. You never want to fail. You don't want to get it wrong. You want to get it right the first time, or you want to find a way to get it right as soon as you can.
Yeah.
There's beauty in the failure. And I tell people, that him and I have talked about this many times, failing forward, but having a design approach to failure. So that way your value in failure, you can now see what to fix. And then if you could break it up into parts and where, hey, the whole thing didn't go wrong. It went wrong in that first quadrant.
Yeah.
The rest was great. Or it went wrong in the middle. So the beginning was great, and then we hit a bump, and then the rest was good. You start figuring out where you can pull these tweaks out. And that's what I figured out how to do. And I was like, okay, all right. So I don't have to do all these things. I don't need, every time I have a new venture, a new idea, I don't have to have another. At one point, Naveen, I think I had about 11 inboxes. Yeah, I think you've had at least 4 or 5 of my emails.
Yeah.
I send them like, because I'm a process. It's like when I do this, I want to have this. I want to make sure I have all these things. I learned, here in these, probably the last 4 years, I don't need all that. I don't need everything. If you've seen my GoDaddy and one-on-one or one-on-one account, boy, I was paying a fortune. I had so many hosting services and all these things. It's like,
Yeah.
what do I really need?
Correct.
And I said, and that minimalist, idea is you don't have to have when you think in the startup world, the MVP. I said, you don't need an
Yeah.
MVP for everything. I said before, to build your most productive process, be efficient.
Yeah.
And as shrink it down to as little as you possibly can. Hey, I've got a way to communicate with you. I've got a phone number. Hey, you've got an email. You don't need 10 emails. I don't have to have an email for the same because I'm not. Some of these things, like, they were conceptual, that were building, going towards something, but nobody cares at that point. So
Right.
have a mail forwarding. Have something. Have them all converge in one. Save you time. Get some time back.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things is people say, "Oh, we shortened that meeting from an hour to 45 minutes. I'm gonna give you 15 minutes back." I'm like, "No, you can't give me anything back because we're still here." And in Wisconsin, in the Midwest, you're still going to talk to me for that last couple and like want to catch up.
Yeah.
So I never got that time back.
Yeah.
What you do is you just have an intent that you're going to, again, utilize the time and space properly. And one of the things that I'm not a big fan of is people that go to, hey, I'm going to look at my whole calendar. I'm going to shove things in here and fit these spaces in.
Throw something
throw
on the
something in.
calendar.
No,
That's the
no,
phrase I hate the most.
Oh.
My calendar is not a garbage that you can just throw stuff.
You hit that perfectly because that's what it becomes.
Yeah.
Most people's calendar become, the waste
Dumping
receptacle
grounds.
for other people's stuff. Oh, I looked at your calendar. Like, I'm not a big fan of sharing my calendar unless I have to
Yeah.
with other people, because if you do,
Yeah.
people will fill it with stuff that you're like, did we really need a meeting about that? Do we really need to talk? You could have sent me an email.
Email would have sufficed.
You could have sent me a Teams message or a chat.
Yeah.
You could have sent me a text, and I could answer that like that.
Yeah.
Don't give people the autonomy to steal your time.
Don't give people the autonomy to steal your time. That's
Yeah.
a great thought. Philip, from just this conversation, I was making a mental map of a few things, and I just wanted to connect the dots.
Sure.
So we talked about first, like you said, about relationships and how you approach sales.
That's right.
Right, and then we talked a little bit about how does it like connect to making your goals and your vision.
That's right.
Right, and then we were talking about how we just now, like, saving like your time. uh, all these three components, do you apply that to your sales process? Now this is just more coming back to your like sales, or is it the sales is just the outcome of your being, or is it the engineering of these three things consciously that makes you efficient in making sales? The reason why I ask this is a good chunk of our viewers are also wanting to be entrepreneurs.
Sure.
So they are, I can tell a few questions from my friends who are wanting to sell their first product or something, have done like 5 or 6 sales.
Sure.
But, or they have not done anything, they're zero. They've built something. So how does all this like connect for those specifically?
I would say in there, the connection there is that it's not about sales.
Okay.
I said it really is for me. I said it's the engineering process for how I operate in the world. I said, so it's really, that becomes part of the core of who I am. And I said, so it works in sales, it works in marketing, it works in client development, it works in networking, all these things. I said the relationship goes in everything that you do, whether it's personal relationship, uh, romantic relationship, you try to have a business relationship. I said the pieces there when it comes to the efficiency, I said, when you move about the world and you move in space and time with an intent to not waste time and to create efficiency, but also, like you said, not just fill time with, just to say I'm doing it. Oh, I was productive for 12 hours. Your best use of yourself is not to be productive for 12 hours. The best use of yourself is to be hyper productive for those 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 hours of the day. And if you you need a space to breathe. You need a space to take a walk. You need a space to take care of your body, because everything is not about productivity for the sake of getting stuff done professionally.
Yeah.
It's got to be professionally. It's got to be personally. It's got to be mentally. It's got to be emotionally. It's got to be spiritually. You have to be able to weave this web of all these things. Because if you're avoiding one, you typically overcompensate another. And where most people, most students, I spoke with the University of Connecticut, NYU, and a college here, Carroll University, with students here not too long ago. I said, where people get caught up in this productivity trap is that they feel like they have to be doing everything. You don't have to be doing everything.
Yeah.
I said, so if you're in a startup situation, I said, don't fall into the serial nature of like, I'm doing, I'm going, I'm this, I'm that. Have intention to it.
Yeah.
So find out where you need to be. Find out where you're going to be able to maximize the opportunity. Find out where, and I told you, so you know how I operate at a lot of trade shows and networking opportunities. I said, because that's where I can maximize that. I can sit at home and make 300 phone calls. I said, or I can put my space where I'm around 5,000 people and I can move about space and be able to cherry pick and be able to take that time to prepare to look at the attendee list and say, these are the 25 people I'm going to talk to. Because if I make 300 calls,
Yeah.
there's a conversion ratio that I'm not talking to 300 people.
1%, maybe,
1%,
yeah.
5%, 6%, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I said, but if I'm in a space and I can forget the elevator pitches and all that other stuff, if I can gain space with you, no matter where it is,
Yeah.
for 2 minutes, I can gain the value of what I needed. So we've afforded and I've gotten the permission to have more time with you. Because I'm no longer a stranger.
Yeah.
And you're able to see me as that authentic side. So when you're approaching sales or trying to approach clients or be in that space, invest and immerse yourself into those spaces, into those areas, into those fields, into those trade shows, conferences, conventions, or if it's an academic setting, invest in putting yourself in those spaces. I was a fan on college. I said I was a part of student government. I was part of the Greek Council. I was part of the National Panhellenic Society with the sororities because I wanted to invest and have an opportunity to meet more people.
Yeah.
The further and deeper I can get in that network. I don't need to know everybody, but I can get deeper into those organizations. I can get a deeper understanding of what they stand for and the type of people that come there. I can then anticipate who are the people that are going to be coming into this organization, who are the people that and where they go when they leave this organization. So then I'm not only just staring at one place, I'm looking at how they get there, once they're there, and where do they go. And that's how you deepen your network. And that's also how you have the ability to say, okay, I met this person before when they got there, they were doing this thing. I couldn't add value to them, and there was nothing I needed from them at that time. So I'm going to leave that person there, or that opportunity there. They may end up someplace a year down the road, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. If you're being intentional, you'll never forget these persons. And I tell people, use LinkedIn for example. The sheer number of requests I get on LinkedIn, the in-mails, and it makes me sometimes want to turn off LinkedIn. And for a long time, I did not do it. I said, I've gotten back to it these last few years. I said, because I want to be able to utilize it the way that I want. And I'm giving myself permission to be able to give value to my industry, but then to just my colleagues, period.
Yeah.
And the people that reach out, you can weed out a lot of people without saying a word. People will know that you're not giving them permission to solicit to you.
Yeah.
So I get a lot less of that. I said, but if you are putting information out there where people say, hold on, I can't approach this person because I want to make sure I'm adding value, not selling, not trying to bring a opportunity. I get a lot of those. I said a lot of solicitations like, I think I'm watching when I saw your post and I agree with that. Now I think my new product would be great for this. That's what I would always say is some of the worst ways to approach somebody. Have a genuine interest. When you're going to talk to that person, as much as you want to sell them something, learn about them.
Yeah.
Interact and engage with what they're doing. So that way you are now contributing to their network, contributing to the value that they're putting out. I said, and then if there's an opportunity, when you have that time to connect, there. Now that's counterintuitive to what most organizations sell. Go out there, add to the pipeline, get this, get that, and bring more people in and fill the funnel, right? Fill the funnel.
Fill the funnel.
I don't want a funnel full of junk. My funnels are very intentional. My pipelines are very intentional. Do I want a $5 billion pipeline? No. I want a $1.5 billion pipeline with things that I know they're actually going to stick. And people will say the more opportunities, the more swings about. Absolutely. But I want the right ones there. Because then I can be efficient, spend time with ones where I said, hey, I get a 10% chance with these 100, but I have an 80% chance with these 5.
Because you've built that relationship and understanding the needs.
That's right.
And so there's a lot of work upfront that you put.
That's right.
Okay.
And I said, and it seems, some people say that seems like a lot of work, and doesn't that work take time?
Yeah.
It costs money. It doesn't cost any more. I said, I tell people the time that you invest there in your long run, it'll be a whole lot less that you've spent over the life of that customer acquisition than what you'd say, hey, I'm just fishing all across in all the open waters anywhere, spending a lot more money on a lot more bait to go out there and find it. When I said I was very selective and using data, I said being data driven, those things. I said there's so many tools and things out there, whether you're using ZoomInfo or a Lusha or a Gartner project or a product, or using something from LexisNexis. There's so many things out there. learn about who you want to talk to. If you tell me you're in the pharmaceutical world or you're going in the tech space for honeybee pollen sales or whatever it is, go be specific and find the people that are not only associated with that, but adjacent too.
Adjacent, okay.
I said, because when you find that adjacent there, that opens your addressable market up so much better. Versus saying, oh, I just want to find all the people who like bees. I want to find all the people that are just in this area. Try to narrow it down and then focus there, and you'll be so much more efficient in going through it in the sales part. Now, for the rest of everything else, we just talk about professionally or personally, do the same things.
Yeah.
You can cast wide nets to go things. Oh, I'm trying to find friends, or I'm trying to create, get colleagues and everything. It's like,
yeah,
you don't have to look for people with the exact interest. Look for the adjacencies. So if you say, hey, I want to hang out with tech people, it's like, well, what kind? Well, that's great. What are the people that work in tech? What are the people that are servicing tech? What are the people that are the legal people working at, next to tech people? What are the innovators that work for, in another space that are adjacent to tech people? Then all of a sudden you've got diversity, and you've got a much more collaborative, true diversity.
Yeah.
Diversity in the people, but diversity in thought. I said to people, I said,
intellectual diversity is also
100%. I said, you'll meet people, and it makes you better.
Yeah.
Because it makes you stronger. It gives you an ability to say, wow, I got a perspective from somebody that's not even in my industry. Yeah. Shout out to Jason Schultz over at Michael Best, who's the head of innovation over there, chief innovation officer. And the things I learned from him, I'm not in the legal world. Yeah. Jason, and he's just right up the street up here.
Yeah.
He does some incredible things. And he sits on stages that I'm never going to be at. There are going to be trade shows that I never go to, but I gain value from the things that he's doing there. And because I could find a way to translate that into my industry.
Right.
There are people that you gain so much more. It doesn't have to be directly in your industry. So always be diverse in your thought, be diverse in your selection of how you build your network. And so when you're building those relationships, you can have a broad network. And then you find the skill sets and you find the goals and what the people have to offer that add value to the things that you're doing. And in turn, typically, you'll find ways to add value to them because you are now giving something from my people say, boring insurance. What does that have to do with anything? I said, insurance is the lifeblood of all of the economy. I said, so if you own a building, you own a house, you own a car, you own a business, no matter what it is, insurance is tied to it some way. You're going to build a new house, right? You got to have insurance. A developer wants to build a new neighborhood. There's builder's risk that they have to have insurance. You want to make sure you're protected because you've started a nonprofit and you want to make sure that things are going. Directors and officers insurance. You're going to have insurance to cover to make sure if someone makes a bad mistake or gives bad information, errors and omissions, there's insurance at the end.
Yeah.
You're going to have insurance your whole life. Insurance is as sure as death and taxes. It's going to exist. If you're ever going to have anything, and if you're going to want to value having time, you're going to ensure that you're going to have things that don't take away that time.
Take away that time from you. Okay. Yeah.
So it's good stuff.
No, this has been amazing. First of all, thank you so much for just giving your time. And
I mean, you can always have my time. I will always leave a space there. Now, you do a great job of giving a lot of leeway and saying, hey, we're looking for some time on the calendar, because where a lot of people go wrong in that time is they want, like I got one this morning, 2 good friends that want to do something big. And I said, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Can we meet tomorrow? I was like, nope, can't meet tomorrow. How about Friday? Nope, Friday's taken too. Let's talk about next week. Put some thought into what you're going to ask and do those things. You're very good at that.
Thank you. Thank you. And obviously, we go back a long way, and you've been such a great mentor and always giving great advice. So thank you for all the things that you've...
It is reciprocal, Naveen. I said, you say that all the time. I said, I've learned so many things from you in the time that we've had. As you always ask me, what can I do for Mike? You're already doing it. I said, even to the setup here and what you've built and what you're creating, I said, I'm constant. I'm always learning and listening. And I said, you always give. You drop the same thing. You're just like Ivan. You're giving without knowing that you're giving. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll have to do a part 2, so you have to promise that you have to come back.
Always have a part 2. I might need a whole volume. I need part 2, 3, and 4. All right. If Prostate is going to be involved, I said I have to be there.
Okay. All right. Putting it out there for her too.
That's right.
So again, thank you, and we'll talk more.
Sounds good.
We'll talk more, and we have to talk on the next one about shoes also.
Oh boy, okay.
We talked a little about
the sneaker game.
The sneaker game. Okay. You can show your sneakers. You have some these, fancy ones.
No, my kids.
Today I don't have my sneakers on, but
these are the Hokas. These are not the fancies. Those are the kids.
We have to come on the next podcast with the sneakers.
We'll come with the sneakers. That we can do.
All right. Thank you.
Much appreciated.
Is your phone?